Welcome trainees to the Thursday session of the Ring Fit Adventure Kickstart 3. This video is going to have all of the workouts for each of the focuses, as well as a little bit of information on why rest is important. And speaking of rest, this is one of the optional rest days. Looking at our calendar, Thursdays are rest or yoga days, and what that means is that you have a session programmed today, but if you're feeling pretty beat after these last 3 workouts, you can take today as a rest. The same goes for Sunday. Rest is really important, as I'll go into later. If you're working out today, as far as yoga goes, these are all made using Ring Fit, of course. There's a yoga section of exercises, but similarly to how we did on the cardio day, if you have a specific yoga app or specific yoga routines that you prefer to do that instead. Just make sure that you're doing some sort of light yoga activity, and no matter what you do, you know, a lot of people use that yoga with Adrienne. She's fantastic. There's a lot of yoga apps out there. If you want to use the Yoga Master game, good luck, but there are some fantastic ways that you can get your yoga in. If not, program these into custom mode and let's get into it. Make sure you're warmed up and get your bottle and towel ready. Time for a relaxed stretch session, ab trainees. Make sure you're focusing on your breathing today as you perform these moves that will assist with control and flexibility. Warrior 1 pose leads your day, stretching to the side before we do overhead bend and overhead side bend. Lots of stretching here, but nothing too hard. Progress to your standing forward fold and tree pose as necessary for more benefits. Revolved crescent lunge pose makes an appearance. Breathe steady, control your turns, and hook that elbow onto the knee for proper range of motion. Chair pose is next, and this one is great for focusing on that breathing before my favourite move in the game, Warrior 2 pose. We then have hinge pose going into pendulum bend, which uses twists in different ways before a repeat of the revolved crescent lunge pose, overhead side bend, or side bend, whichever progression you choose. Keep everything steady and controlled, and you'll do absolutely fine here. My battle focused trainees, yoga moves typically do more damage with less movement, which is really interesting to note. So get through these moves with good form as instructed and smash your enemies in the most relaxing way possible. To start your day, I'd recommend either chair pose or warrior 1 pose because those are great beginner moves. The most important ones to note here are your boat pose and warrior 3 pose. Boat pose is like a V-sit and requires retracting the arms and pushing the legs out at the same time. It's tough, but you can do it. The return to the beginning of the movement is where it gets hard, so be mindful as you do this not to overstretch the core. Warrior 3 pose can be tough as well. Fold over the torso and try to keep your spine in line with the rear leg. Tree pose helps with your single leg balance here, and a slight flex in the knee can also be really useful. I'd recommend doing these towards the end of your session. Apart from that, enjoy and kill Drago. Custom focused trainees have a warm up with beginner before hitting warrior 1 pose. Get your breathing under control and bend to the side before bending all the way over for standing forward fold. Bending is the name of the game here. You've got your hinge pose before revolved crescent lunge pose gets you twisting in the transverse plane. Rest the elbow up on the knee for proper range of motion. Warrior 1 pose repeats, but this can be progressed to tree pose, which has great ankle stability benefits. Chair pose brings a smooth arc with your shoulders, stretching your deltoid muscles well before the hinge pose again. This can be further upgraded to warrior 3 pose. Warrior 2 pose stretches your arms and hips and chest. Make sure you get the outstretched foot pointing out and your static legs foot pointing forward for the correct hip position, and end with a run through beginner. Well done. Demon trainees, here we go, a stretch session that is necessary but still uses some tougher components. Overhead bend and overhead side bend are lovely starters, but the important thing is to bend sagittally and laterally respectively, so therefore these can be upgraded to hinge pose to standing forward fold, as well as warrior 1 pose and tree pose. Warrior 1 pose comes next, but if you've done it just now as an upgrade, do chair pose instead. Revolved crescent lunge pose works the legs and deeper transverse abdominal muscles. Keep breathing steadily and as shown on screen while performing this. Hinge pose is a great deltoid stretch, but you can upgrade to warrior 2 pose, which stretches your deltoids and hips at the same time, as well as your pectoral muscles. Warrior 3 pose recruits the glutes while stretching out the torso and rear leg. Knee to chest and seated forward press are next. These are ab moves, but they're simple and require similar breathing technique to maintain form. These are upgraded to boat pose and fan pose respectively. Follow tips examples for how to do them effectively. This is especially for fan pose, for whom the leg positioning can be really tricky. Finish with a tree pose and a fan pose for the day. Great work. Alright, so you've done your workout, you've done your flexibility training, and now it is time to have a relax. And we're going to talk a little bit for this fit fact of the day about why rest is so important. You see, our bodies can't keep going 24/7. You need to rest, and obviously that's why you sleep. It's so that your body can recover. Now, in deep sleep, that is where you actually make some real progression and real gains with the body. See, when you're actually working out, you're creating micro tears in your muscles, and those micro tears leave you feeling fatigued and means that you can't work out as effectively right there and then. It actually brings your body condition down. Then when you go to sleep, when you have some good protein, when you have some nutritious food, you go to sleep, you get some deep sleep, your body repairs itself. And that is where it starts making its gains. Those micro tears are built and you get better muscle fibers, you get stronger muscle fibers, which can take more load. This means that the next time you come to do those exercises, you're actually going to be stronger and you can perform better. And that process is actually called supercompensation, if you wanted to look that up. It's a really interesting concept that shows you how your muscles progress through an exercise program. But essentially, that is what is happening. You supercompensate, and you need to sleep in order to get those gains. So you don't actually make your progress in the gym, you make your progress in bed. So not only is sleep good for your mental faculties, your mental health, and your central nervous system, but it's actually where you make those main gains with your body. How bloody good is that? That's why sleep is so important, that's why rest is so important, and why you should take rest days. Well, that's your rest or yoga day today. That is the Thursday session of the Ring Fit Adventure Kickstart 3 done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're really excited tomorrow because we have got a fantastic arm session for you. Thank you to my patrons like Rain, Sick Hippie, and Mikey Bananas for the wonderful support they give through Patreon. If you're looking for a more standardized personal training program, please click the link in the description and go to my online worldwide personal training service. Thank you so much again. I'm Master Trainer Peter. I'm going to see you tomorrow.